They say the most dangerous map in the world is the one someone else draws for you. For 18 years, I had been following that map, and it had led me straight to the edge of a cliff, with no idea how to fly. My entire life had been a series of checkboxes. Good grades, check. Extracurriculars, check. High test scores, check. I had graduated high school with honors, a valedictorian speech under my belt, and a handful of acceptance letters to prestigious universities. From the outside, I was the very picture of success, but on the inside, I felt like a hollow shell. The path laid out before me: college, a degree, a respectable career, felt less like a grand adventure and more like a life sentence. The applause at graduation had faded, and in the silence that followed, I heard only one terrifying question: what now? So, I did the scariest thing I could imagine. I told my parents I was taking a year off. I needed to find myself, I said. A cliché I hated even as it left my lips. My mother worried. But my father, a quiet man of the earth, simply know that finding yourself is a journey. Liao, he said, and every journey needs a guide. Tomorrow, we're going to meet a few. The next morning, my father drove me not to a career counselor or a university advisor, but to a sprawling athletic stadium. There, on the vibrant red track, was a man whose every movement was pure power and grace. This was Mr. Harrison, a former Olympic sprinter whose name was etched in record books. As he approached us, wiping sweat from his brow, he had the most genuine smile I'd ever seen. "Your dad tells me you're at a crossroads," he said, his voice steady and calm. We sat in the bleachers, and he told me his story. "Leo," he began, "in school, I was a ghost. My report cards were a sea of Cs and Ds. I couldn't make sense of history dates or algebraic formulas. Teachers sighed when I raised my hand. He felt stupid, utterly lost." He pointed to the track. "But out here, I understood. I understood the language of my own body, the rhythm of my breath, the physics of a perfect start. While my friends were studying for finals, I was studying the wind. My alarm went off at 4 a.m. Not for homework, but for hill sprints. This track was my classroom. Failure was my teacher, and the finish line was my diploma. Society told me I was a poor student, but my passion told me I was a dedicated athlete. Success isn't about being good at what they tell you to be good at. It's about finding the one thing you're willing to pour your soul into, and then doing it relentlessly." Our second visit was to the heart of the city's bustling culinary district. The air was thick with the scent of garlic and fresh basil. We entered a restaurant called The Hearth, a place known for its legendary food and months-long waiting list. Behind the counter, orchestrating a symphony of sizzling pans and choppy knives, was Mr. Chun. He greeted my father with a warm embrace and led us to a quiet corner table. Like Mr. Harrison, he confessed to being a terrible student. "Textbooks were my enemy," he laughed. "The words just swam around on the page. I dropped out when I was 17. Everyone thought my life was over before it began." He gestured around the vibrant restaurant. "But I loved food. I loved the way a simple onion could become sweet and profound. I loved the magic of turning raw ingredients into something that made people happy. I started as a dishwasher, just to be near a kitchen. I watched. I learned. I experimented. I burned more meals than I could count. My education didn't happen in a lecture hall. It happened over a hot stove. My passion for flavor was my curriculum. People measure success in degrees and job titles. I measure it in empty plates and the sound of happy conversation." The final person we met was the one I expected to relate to the most. Mr. Maxwell lived in a sleek, minimalist penthouse overlooking the city. He was a top executive at a major consulting firm, a man who had graduated from an Ivy League school at the top of his class. He was, by all accounts, the epitome of the success I was supposed to be chasing. He was polished, articulate, and brilliant. But as he spoke, I saw a flicker of something unexpected in his eyes. "Regret? I did everything right," he explained, swirling the ice in his glass. "I was a chameleon. I could be a historian, a scientist, a mathematician, whatever the test required. I collected knowledge like stamps, fill in an album with a little bit of everything, handed word. I got the degree, the job, the corner office." He paused, looking out at the city lights. "But my mistake was knowing a little about everything, and not being truly in love with anything. I mastered the art of learning, but I never found a subject that set my soul on fire. I look at men like Harrison and Chun, and I feel a profound envy. They found their one true note and built a symphony around it. I have an entire orchestra at my disposal, but I don't have a song to play. The drive home was quiet, my mind a whirlwind of stories. I had seen 3 versions of success. One built on physical dedication, one on creative passion, and one on intellectual achievement that felt strangely empty. I looked over at my father, his hands steady on the wheel, his face calm in the fading light. For the first time, I saw him not just as my dad, but as a man with his own story. "Dad," I asked quietly, "what about you? What kind of student were you?" He smiled a little. "Leo, if they had ranked the students in my class from top to bottom, my name would have been the one holding the list up from the floor." I was stunned. My father, the man who had built our thriving horse farm from a patch of stubborn land, had been a failure in school. "I couldn't stand being indoors," he continued. "The only subject I cared about was biology, and eventually I'd rather be outside observing it than reading about it. My passion wasn't in a book. It was in the feel of the earth, the trust in a horse's eyes, the science of breeding and caring for a life much larger than my own." While my classmates were heading to college, I was saving every penny to buy my first foal. People thought I was crazy, choosing dirt and animals over a degree. But this farm, this is my university. Every sunrise is a new lecture, every sick animal a final exam. My success isn't hanging on a wall. It's galloping across that field right now. I looked out the window, and there they were, a dozen magnificent horses, their silhouettes dark against the sunset. And in that moment, everything clicked into place. The smell of hay, the nicker of a foal, the weight of a saddleys, were the things that had always felt like home. I had been so busy chasing the map society had given me that I never realized my own treasure was buried in my own backyard. My passion wasn't in a classroom. It was in the barn. "I know what I want to do," I said, my voice filled with a certainty I hadn't felt in years. "I want to stay. I want to learn the farm. Not as a chore, but as a student. I want to learn from you." A slow, proud smile spread across my father's face. My gap year was no longer an escape. It had become a destination. I would learn about animal husbandry, soil science, and the business of agriculture. Maybe one day I would go to college to become a veterinarian, but this time it would be my choice, fueled by a genuine fire. The world will always try to hand you its map, pre-drawn and approved. It will tell you which roads lead to success and which lead to ruin. But the greatest lesson I learned is that true success, the kind that fills you with purpose and joy, is found when you have the courage to put that map away, listen to the quiet compass of your own heart, and draw your own path, one passionate step at a time. Find the thing you love, immerse yourself in it, and build your own beautiful world. That is the only journey that truly matters.